Think you've been smashing it on your savings interest since rates shot up? Hate to break it to you, but you've been mugged quietly, while probably thinking you were winning. Here's how the trap works. Back in 2020, central banks, like the Bank of England, dropped the base rate to basically zero, 0.1%. Fair enough, COVID chaos. Then in late 2022, inflation kicked off, so they ramped rates up, peaked at 5.25%, sat there for ages, now they're around 4%. So yeah, rates were sky high. You'd think savers like you were finally getting a win. Except you weren't, not really. What did most people actually get? Most banks gave you 1 or 2% on your savings. Maybe you're thinking, nah mate, I did my research and got 4.5%. Or maybe you really hunted and found 5%. But with lockups, limits or short-term bait offers, even then, keep listening. The base rate the banks were earning was 5.25%. Most people got under 3. Where did the other 2 to 3% go? Straight into the bank's pockets. Probably into an executive bonus pot or something. And that's without even considering the real kicker, mortgage lending. Here's how the trick works. When you put your money in a savings account, you're technically lending it to the bank. Maybe at 2.5% or whatever rate you're getting. That money doesn't just sit there gathering dust. The bank turns around and lends it out as mortgages at 6%, 7%, sometimes more. They pocket the difference. It's called net interest margin. I call it legal daylight robbery. And while they're raking it in, inflation's been eroding your wealth, even if you were one of the informed ones earning 5%. You've seen the headlines, inflation this, cost of living crisis that, but yeah, it's real. Inflation in the UK has averaged around 5.1% a year since 2021. So even if you were getting 4% interest on your savings, you were still losing over 1% a year in real terms. Even earning 5%, your money was still eroding downwards, and that's before we even get to tax. Because yeah, in the UK, any interest income above a tiny threshold gets taxed at your marginal rate. Could be 20%, 40%, 45%, depending on your income. So that small return you thought you were getting, taxed, eroded, gone. And as Martin would say, if you've got real savings, that tiny tax-free threshold for interest income is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Meanwhile, the banks, they made billions, broke records, and still bang on about needing to raise fees or cut costs. Mate, come on. Most people haven't even clocked this. They see 3.5% savings rate and think the bank's doing them a favour. They're not. And nowadays you'd be lucky to even get 3%. The banks are milking your apathy. You're losing money every year and feeling good about it. And this isn't just a UK thing. Same story in the US, same in Oz, Europe, wherever central banks hiked rates, same game. Savers get crumbs, borrowers pay through the nose, banks clean up. And the kicker? Governments tax you on those crumbs, while inflation burns your actual buying power. The government taxes it like you're winning and erodes it even more. So here's the truth. You didn't win. Not unless you beat inflation and avoided tax, which over the last 5 years, most people didn't. You gave your money to the bank, they lent it out, and you got shafted on the margin. This isn't a conspiracy, it's just how the system works, if you're not paying attention. It's been like this for hundreds of years. So yeah, interest looked good, but if you actually run the numbers, you got mugged. We all did. Maybe it's time for us to wake up.